everybody. Welcome to Out the First. Great to have you here. We are live in French Lick, Indiana at the French Lick Resort, home of the Korn Ferry Tour Championship this week. And for 4 years after that, we are underway in the final 26th tournament of the year on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule. We're going to give out 30 PGA Tour cards at the end of this week. The tournament is underway. Got underway this morning. My Road to French Lick co-host Brendan Sweeney did the honors of introducing the players on the first tee. They had 74 players in the field, so we have two waves of players, 37 each, going through the first and the 10th tees, and they're going to do that for all 4 days. And then at the end of the week on Sunday, 30 players are going to get PGA Tour cards. It's going to be a great week. The weather is beautiful out here. I don't know if you've been able to catch any of the broadcasts. I think they started at 1 p.m. Eastern on Golf Channel with Shane Bacon and James Nitties and Amelia Migliaccio. I always mess up her name. I'm sorry, Amelia. And Jake Marsh, who I've not met before, but he's been with Barstool Sports, has been doing some PGA Tour live stuff, and he gets a crack at the TV side of things this week for Golf Channel. So they've been doing a good job so far covering the action. Was out there earlier watching the play on the golf course. Like I said, the weather is perfect, and everyone I've asked who lives around here or is associated with the resort is kind of shocked that it's this nice. I asked if this is kind of what you would typically expect to see in the first week of October in southern Indiana, and the answer was a resounding no, that it wasn't going to be like that, and they didn't expect it to be like this. But the first 3 days, you should expect to see temperatures in the low to mid 70s, maybe creep into the 76, 77 degree range. Winds are pretty light. They've been light all day. And then once we get to Sunday, things are supposed to get very spicy very quickly. You're supposed to get it to 30 mile per hour winds, which is something you would more expect here in southern Indiana at this point in the fall. And this golf course plays a whole lot tougher with wind, as you may have seen if you've played it before, or you've seen it on TV, or you've seen our show, The Road to French Lick, where we've highlighted 2 of the holes in each of the first 9 episodes. You'll know that there's not a lot of places to miss on this golf course that are good, right? If you don't hit the fairway, you're going to kind of be left with a hanging lie or an uneven lie. You're probably playing out of some thicker rough. You need to be in the fairway on this golf course, and the targets are very small, not only from off the tee, but also to the greens themselves. I mean, some of the greens, I think Shane Bacon made a very good comparison to Pebble Beach, and even some of those greens look enormous compared to what you would see on a couple of the greens, particularly on the front side here. Some of the par 3 greens where you're playing a 200-yard shot, 220-yard shot to a really thin-looking target, especially once the wind comes up. It's going to be pretty scary out there. So very interesting to see how the scoring goes. I've been looking at the leaderboard, obviously, all morning. We've been riding around the golf course. And the scoring was good early, particularly for players that started on the back 9. So you can make your move fairly early. 10's fairly short par 4. 11 is a little bit longer, 12's a little bit longer, but 13, 14, 15, all gettable holes. 18's a par 5. 16's not horrible today, tough pin, but not horrible. So maybe you can make your move early, but once you get back to the front side, the opening tee shot from 465 down to a very small looking landing area is incredibly intimidating. The second shot, practically blind on the second hole to a very small target. The par 5 third is amazingly difficult off the tee from the distance they're playing it from, and it's a 3-shotter for practically every player in the field. 4 is a little bit of a rest as a par 3. 5 has a very, very small green, almost impossible to see the surface with your second shot, and you're coming in with a mid-iron. And then 5, tough. 6, a par 5 that's a 3-shotter for everybody, and the green is probably about as big as the room I am in right now, which is not huge. And then you get to the par 3s. It's a lot. It's a tough golf course. We've been having conversations about what winning score is going to look like this week. And Dave Hartner, who is the director of golf here, incredible guy, one of my favorites here at French Lick, he thinks it's going to be 16 under. Brendan Sweeney thinks it's going to be 12 under. I think it really does depend on how much the wind affects things, but we saw guys get as low as 5 under par. Saw Jackson Suber, who's number 20 on the points list, get down to 5 under par through 12 holes, and then started to kind of creep back toward the field a little bit. Now it's kind of vacillating between 4 and 3 under. I think if you can multiply that out 4 times, you're getting closer to Dave's number of 16 under. But if that wind really does intervene like we're expecting on Sunday, I think you can expect to see some really, really tough scoring on that Sunday with everything on the line. Folks at the Korn Ferry Tour say that 17 players of note have locked up a Korn Ferry Tour card for next season already. So that there are 13 technically available throughout this week. But for someone like Jackson Super, who we mentioned earlier, playing well out the gate, he doesn't really have that much doubt that he's going to get a card. It's kind of more where he would wind up in the proceedings. But one thing that was pointed out by the folks at Golf Channel, if you look at kind of like 23 to 30, like the bottom 8 players in the point standings over the last couple of years, especially last year, only 3 of them got through at the end of the week and still had a card. So there's a lot of room to run here. There's a lot of opportunity to potentially upend that bottom 4 or 5 cards. I think probably the top 22, 23 have to feel really safe. Like a lot of weird things got to happen for them to get knocked out at this point. 17 have it for sure. Mathematically cannot be touched. The number 1 guy, who's Matt McCarty, he also cannot be caught, and he's not here this week. That's why this is a 74-player field instead of a 75-player field. So you have him locked up, got his spot, got his tour card. He's playing the Sanderson Farms as we speak down in Jackson, Mississippi. So he's playing for a substantially bigger purse than the $1.5 million they're playing for here over in Jackson, Mississippi on the PGA Tour. Then Max McGreevy, who is second on the list, he's had a great year, 2 wins. He practically cannot be caught. So he's going to be the next best guy in terms of opportunities to play in PGA Tour events out the gate when the schedule starts for 2025. But he will not have access, and neither will any of the other 29 players that earn cards outside of Matt McCarty have access to the FedEx Cup fall event. So effectively their season is over after this week, and some of them may choose to try to pursue playing DP World Tour events or things like that. But otherwise their year is done, and a stressful year is over for a lot of them. It was cool to meet a couple of parents and friends of players who have been out on the golf course cheering on their family or friends today. Their son, in one case, of Taylor Dixon's family from North Carolina. And they've raved about French Lick and the host resort. And it is really interesting to me because this is obviously the first year it's a new venue, right? New venues they create challenges, right? You see things in running the operation of the tournament that you don't anticipate, but it seems like everything is run very smoothly so far. I think it's been really well received by the community. I think the players really like the resort. So those things count for something, having happy participants to evangelize about the property and evangelize about what they experienced and great treatment and all that fun stuff. That goes a long way for the host property and the week that they're having. So it's great to have that positive feedback so far on everything being run really, really well. We have the Bare Naked Ladies on Friday night, which I'm very excited about. I've never seen the Bare Naked Ladies live, and I fell in love with Bare Naked Ladies as a band, as a bit of an aside, because of a live album. So to kind of come full circle and get to see them live here in French Lick is going to be pretty cool. So, course of the week, we've got 4 rounds, no cut. Everyone's going to get a crack at this. A number of players have kind of played their way out of it already. I saw John Pack went triple-double single on the front 9 today, and he basically played himself out of the tournament, unfortunately. But he could still maybe play himself into a better position in terms of card for next year. But everyone here is fully exempt on the Korn Ferry Tour next year, so you're kind of throwing yourself back in the ringer, even though you've still got 63 more holes to play. You've effectively knocked yourself out of any contention to have a PGA Tour card. That said, some crazy things could happen. We don't know what the weather is going to be like come Sunday, so there's all that piece of it as well. Take a little break from the Korn Ferry Tour Championship, talk about this week's PGA Tour event, and then also want to talk about the kind of kumbaya moment that happened today at the DP World Tour event, which is kind of the other event of the week, right? There's no LPGA event this week. There is a Champions Tour event, which is Furyk and friends down in the Jacksonville area. He gets to kind of be the victorious host of that event. But you've got the Sanderson Farms too. The other event you've got on the DP World Tour, the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship. So, Brendan Sweeney, my co-host for the Road to French Lick, take a seat.
Hey, how are you? Sorry,
It's all good.
Was busy putting out fires. There we go.
Swing it around a little bit.
There we go.
So we're talking about the reception that the French Lick Resort has gotten so far from the players and everyone involved with the tournament. Can you kind of talk about that from the perspective of French Lick Resort and how cool that's been?
Yeah, well, we built this golf course in 2009 as a championship venue to host events. We've hosted 18 championships since 2009. We had 7 Big Ten championships, 5 senior LPGAs, Epson Tour, Indiana Opens, whatnot. And this is just a natural progression, I would say, for us. But to be on the Golf Channel, to have an international field of, I think there's like 32 countries represented.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid. So, yeah, we're having a blast. And then you throw that in with nighttime activities. And
let's talk about bare naked ladies.
Bare naked ladies, yes. And some wrestling, which we won't really get into too much. But, yeah, it was great. I don't know what more we could do to make this better. The balls and sticks part of it, everything's running itself right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, getting the tournament on the tracks is an exciting thing, and it's a recipe that we've gone accustomed to. So that's how we shine.
It was something that we talked about.
I mean, I don't mean to disturb, but I'm watching it on TV right behind us, and it's so visual up here. The golf course
just looks so good.
And the weather is just absolutely fabulous. It's 75 and sunny, not a cloud in the sky.
Yeah, there's no way you could have expected that for the first week of October, right?
Nope, not at all.
What would you have expected if I asked you to say what the weather forecast would have been?
65 and rainy. So, but we'll take this any day of the week. So
hell yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's gonna be like this all weekend long. So it's full throttle sun, which is great.
And you talked about this a little bit. That I mean, you guys have run events with the Senior LPGA Championship, obviously Big Ten Championship, stuff like that. But that you were talking about, it's kind of a different animal when the PGA Tour comes in through the Korn Ferry Tour and they run it. That the responsibilities are a little bit of a different animal between.
Yeah, but we as an operator have a chance to enjoy it.
Yeah,
and then mix and mingle with the people. I mean, we've had I think 5 pro-ams.
Yeah,
and there's actually a pro-am going on today at the Dunhill Ross course. So, and we have the facilities for it too. And then the Valley course, we'll have the talent from Golf Channel that already hit us up for rounds of golf after the broadcast. So yeah, we'll go play some Twilight and have some fun doing it.
Yeah, it'll be a great time. From what we've seen so far, we went and watched a little bit of golf this morning. How do you think the golf course is playing? Is it playing as hard, or in terms of what you expect?
These guys are throwing darts. I mean, we had 5 inches of rain earlier this week.
Yeah.
And when Pete built the course, he built it. There's 3 feet of sand underneath each fairway, so it drains really good, but it's soft. I mean, there's some drainage areas that will get a lot of activity on it. And these guys, when they're swinging their golf club, they're taking pelts.
Yeah.
They're ripping some turf up. And Russ Apple, who's our superintendent, has done a fabulous job, and he was working with the staff with the PGA Tour, who are just aces, man. It's the big time, and I think a Korn Ferry Championship is an ideal tournament for us to have. If we would have a tour event, obviously the cost is one factor, but the crowd size. I mean, we're in a small rural market. And we're expecting about 5,000 to 9,000 people here throughout the week. So, and that's a lot in a town of 2,500 people. We employ 1,300 at our peak, and so having a championship like this and having to showcase Southern Indiana is really meant a lot to the community.
Well, let's talk about the charitable component a little bit. Yeah. Maybe folks who are familiar with French Lick Golf in the past or know about Golf Gives Back, but also Building Blocks.
Yeah, Building Blocks is an organization that gives resources to underprivileged children, preparing them to go into kindergarten. So whether it's nutrition, whether it's crayons, whether it's books, whether it's whatever a family needs to get the foundation of the reading, writing, and arithmetic together, this is what they're doing. And throughout the week, we've raised over $125,000 for that event. And we take a lot of pride in that. We have a great partnership with golf gives back, and they're the dog that wags the tail, and we're more than happy to do it.
And there's a lot of cool stuff that was up for auction earlier this week between Masters tickets, Eras Tour tickets, other experiences.
Yeah, Taylor Swift went for like $7,000, so it was great.
Two tickets and a
skybox. Yeah, so it's coming up at Lucas Oil, and I'm watching it fly over here right now. The 12th hole, playing 529 yards as a par 4. Pretty cool.
So for the rest of this week, obviously the forecast is going to be incredible until Sunday. Then it gets windy.
Yeah, this place with wind has teeth.
Yeah.
And, and when they're going for those spots, I mean, you could easily choke down a double in any hole here, based upon
we saw a couple triples today already, and it's
perfect out. And if you look at the final 3 holes, 16 being a 230-yard par 3 with water on the right, and the prevailing winds will be coming in that way, coming in from the southwest. And then 17 is just, they stretched it back. It's far, dude. It's probably 490, give or take. And then follow up with 18, that's probably playing about 550. So yeah, anything could happen. It's a risk reward. All 3 of those holes really, especially 18 with the big sweeping dog leg left into a long, narrow green. It's really going to show a lot too. And hopefully it comes down to a really competitive field, and it will. I mean, there's 13 spots available.
Yep. 17
cards have already been given away. So yeah, we're hoping for a very solid competitive week. And these guys, hey, if they want it, they can get it. But that for the 13 guys that go and get it, 13 guys may move down too. So there's a lot at stake regarding that too. So
I think that's the best thing about this tournament and that you guys get to host. Yeah, it's a no-cut thing. There's 74 with Matt McCarty already earning the PGA Tour 3-win promotion. But there are 30 different winners at the end of this week.
Yeah.
And most weeks, obviously, there's one.
And then also, if you look at that, the other, from 30 to 75, those 45 guys have full status on Korn Ferry.
Right.
For next year.
Right. And they have a place to play. They've already won that part of it.
Yeah. And then 75 to 100 is conditional. So yeah, every stroke matters. And if you look at the point system, we were looking at it at the beginning of the year, to have it come down to, I think there's maybe a 30-point difference between 35th and 28.
Yeah, it's not much.
It's a lot. I mean, at any hole, this place could kick you in the teeth. So
yeah, and at this point in the season, a triple or a quad is maybe life changing one way or the other.
Yeah,
and probably making the quad.
And we saw it last year at Victoria National. So
yeah, this week means a lot.
Yeah.
For Southern Indiana, for you guys at the resort. It's really, really cool. It's cool to be here. We've done this road to French Lick the entire season.
Cool. Yep. Sorry to get here earlier.
That's okay.
I had the boss outside.
For you,
but I got to do my stuff too.
But for you, what was the coolest part of this year? Getting to do the road to French Lick, and you went out to a bunch of tournaments. And talked to guys, getting to know them.
Yeah. I knew. For example, Brian Campbell went to the University of Illinois, so I've known him since a freshman in college. I'm friends with Mike Small, who's head coach at Illinois, and just to have those young men grow up and then remember, their journey at French Lick. We had the Big Ten championships here in 12, 13, 14, and 22. Joe Weiler from Purdue is a local guy. He went to Bloomington South High School, which is about an hour north of here. Craig Bowden, who played on tour forever.
Yeah.
He's with STX Shafts, and he's actually coaching Quade Cummings. Just the local guys coming in around here. And then the international guys, they look at this place and it's like, is this for real? And if you haven't had the tangible opportunity to touch this place, it really is. It's a pretty spectacular property. And then you go across to our other property, to the Donald Ross course. This hosted 4 majors, and dating back to 1924 PGA Championship. So we have the 100-year anniversary of that. There's a lot to offer here, but this week I think just having these guys leave here with a memory of French Lick, and granted, you want the people to succeed, and they want them to move on to the PGA Tour. So bittersweet. You don't want to see them back, in a selfish way, but hey, we have this for 5 years, and at least 45 guys will be back next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Well, awesome, man.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for your support. We appreciate it. I think, what's really cool is just watching it on TV right behind you. And so Trevor Cohen's it just shot. He's even par right now. So had a birdie, had a bogey. He's on the 12th hole and he's cranking it out. So these guys will all have a memory of French Lick, and hopefully it's a good one.
Well, at least regardless of whether they get a card at the end of the week or not, hopefully their view of the experience is independent of that.
Yeah.
Whether they walk away here with a PGA Tour membership or not, that all remains to be seen. So that's going to do it for us today on the show. We're going to be back tomorrow, and we're going to be back Saturday and Sunday. So we've got lots to talk about. We'll keep you abreast, obviously, of what's happening here on the grounds. Of course, we'll probably start to dry out a little bit over the next couple of days. Hopefully get a little bit of breeze, keep the sun going, and then by the time Sunday rolls around, probably we'll see the die course at not full strength, but pretty close to full strength.
Yeah, if the wind picks up like it's supposed to, between 15 and 25 mile an hour gusts, that will definitely affect the last 3 holes.
Yeah,
for sure.
So a lot of drama to come. We'll be here with you for it all. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Check us out on GNN TV. Check out the Road to French Lick. We've still got a couple episodes to go. We'll do a wrap-up episode of everything that happened this week, and then a season-long episode as we get closer to the Q School part of the year. So,
Super Steve, if you're out there, I'm coming after you, man.
So for Brendan Sweeney, I'm Ryan Ballingy. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow on 2 Off the First.